Hello everyone and welcome once again to my channel. It's your boy Luis Portelles, and as you can see today I have a very special guest on the channel, our reigning Miss Earth 2022, Mina Sue Choi.
Hello everyone, this is your 2022 not newly crowned anymore, it's been a few months but your 2022 Miss Earth, Mina Sue Choi.
I'm so happy to be here sitting with you, and such a pleasure and honor.
It's my pleasure as well. Thank you so much for coming all the way here.
Oh, thank you for inviting us. So Mina, this is officially your first time back in the Philippines since your coronation time. So how do you feel being back here?
I'm coming from a pretty cool place. Korea's
Yes.
winter, it's very freezing, a lot of jackets, and it's nice to be at a warm weather and a lot more welcoming here. So I'm so glad to be back here.
I can actually relate to that because I live in Canada. So my time here in the Philippines, I'm just running away from the winter and the snow.
Yeah, no, same. I also lived in Canada.
Oh,
Yeah, I lived in
right.
Vancouver for a
Vancouver.
year.
Okay. I'm all the way on the East Coast, so I'm in
East Coast,
Montreal,
right?
but yes, Vancouver is on my bucket list. I've never been yet.
The people are nice. The people are
Yeah.
nice, and I love it. But the weather, not so much. It's kind
Yeah.
of gloomy, kind
Yeah.
of similar to Seattle weather. So I didn't really
I
like the
feel you.
weather, but I like the people.
So you had the time right after the coronation, and especially for the holidays, right, to go back home in Korea. How was that experience going back? And
Well, the immediate crowning moment was, first of all, very surreal. So it took me a while. I think I'm still trying to process the fact that I became Miss Earth, even till this day.
yeah,
Yeah. And going back to Korea, I thought it was going to be a lot more different, but I live with my parents, so I'm just a daughter, only child. My parents treat me the same way, but there's definitely been a little bit more difference in the way that my friends perceive me or people that know me in the past perceive me
yeah,
because I'm usually pretty goofy around people. I'm like friendly and I'm like I'm
yeah.
energetic most of the time. But after they saw the interview video, that's the video that went viral in Korea.
Yes.
Yeah, especially among English learners.
Yeah.
So that's been a little bit different in terms of how they treat me. They're like, oh, this girl's very thoughtful, she's smart, she's elegant.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's definitely a few more sides to me than that.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And seeing her in person, I can actually confirm all of those things.
I hope that's a good thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. One of the things that I wanted to highlight about you, of course, I mean, already winning Miss Earth itself, it's a huge achievement for any woman. But you actually became the first woman from Korea to win one of the four major pageants in the world.
Yeah.
How does that feel to know that you made history in a way?
I'm honestly just happy that there will be more Korean women
Yeah.
that compete in Miss Korea and that are going to want to compete in international pageants
Yeah.
because pageantry has died down in Korea
Yeah.
and it's become so local. Like Miss Korea has became a pageantry that's very local to only Koreans and to those only care about Miss Korea. But now I feel like I've gotten a lot of messages from girls, from even my high school, my people that graduated from my high school, they're messaging me, wait, I want to also compete. How can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, I'm inspired by you. And it's being called someone's inspiration at my age. I feel like that's a big deal.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Because you're also helping kind of bridge the gap between generations in the sense that I feel like older generations kind of understand what pageants are and where they come from, but
yeah.
for a newer generation, especially our generation, it's not always such a clear concept of what a
Yeah.
pageant is and what goes into a pageant, right? So when you say that pageants are not necessarily big in Korea, do you mean in the sense that they're not as popular or people don't really understand what's the purpose behind it?
I feel like it's definitely both because Miss Korea and pageantry has been big. The whole purpose of Miss Korea was so that people can represent Korea and compete in big pageants and
Yeah.
international pageants. That was the original reason behind like, the foundation of Miss Korea. But this was like back in the 1900s, like when Korea wasn't doing very well economically. That's what people relied on a lot at
Yeah.
times. They would gather around as a whole family and just watch Miss Korea and be like, who's the next winner? Who's going to represent our country? That was a big deal. But now that Korea has become a more stronger country, I think a lot of Koreans have become so independent and families are a lot smaller and we're very individualistic right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why it's naturally and inevitably the popularity of pageants died.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like now also the younger generations, they don't really understand the concept of Miss Korea or pageants.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've kind of change that for people.
Yeah.
It's not just about a pretty face.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And one of the things that I also like is that this is also an opportunity for you as the first title holder from Korea within the four biggest pageants in the world to showcase different sides of your culture, to put more things out there about women from your country as well.
Yeah.
So when you think about some of the things that you would like to highlight about Korean women, what comes to mind?
Korean women. Korean women, they're very hard on each other. Like Koreans in general, I feel like even after Miss Earth, my biggest bashers were Koreans. I think I told you
Really?
before,
Yeah.
yeah. The people that were saying, "Oh, you're kind of ugly," blah blah blah.
Uh-huh.
Those are all Koreans. But at the same time, I like to think of the positive side is that Koreans are harder on each other.
Yeah.
We try to be critical of each other, and we're very we're challengers, and I think it comes from the history of the fact that Korean has been fighters,
Yeah.
and I think that's what it is. Yeah,
Okay.
Korean women are hard on each
On
other
each other.
because they want to do better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that. I understand that. And I feel like it's, in different countries, things like this can also be perceived. But if we look at the bright side of things, I think that it's also an opportunity for you to create awareness about this and maybe
Yes.
for a Korean woman to be more positive towards each other. So
Yeah.
we can always,
I think that's definitely the reason why, previously I've just heard, things like Koreans when they compete in international pageants, they wouldn't, approach people first. They would wait until they're approached. And I didn't want to be perceived as someone like that.
Yeah.
Since I'm representing this country, I wanted to show that Koreans can be nice. Well,
Yeah.
they are nice at heart, but they can be approachable and they can be kind to one another.
Yeah.
But they can have that courage to approach them first.
Yeah.
You can be a nice person, but just be like still and not approach one another. But what I wanted to do and what I tried to do during Miss Earth was to approach them first and ask them, "Do you need this? Do you need any help? Like, I got you." And I
Yeah.
wanted to be that person that really gives out the hand first.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one-on-one contact really goes like the extra mile and it makes a huge difference, especially in the way that people perceive you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
I wanted to take you back to the coronation night and that moment where your name was called to be crowned. What was going through your mind at that point? Earlier, we were talking about if you thought that at some point you felt like, oh, I might get this in the bag, like, it might be secured. Did you feel confident enough during the coronation night that you were going to get it? Or did you still have some?
Yeah. So before the competition night, that's when I felt most confident. Like before the competition, throughout our traveling and all that,
Yeah.
that's when I felt confident. I was like, you know what? I think I might do well. I think I'm gonna give out a pretty good performance, and people will remember Miss Earth Korea.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, during the day of the coronation night, I was quite sick.
Yeah.
So I couldn't give out my full performance. So as I was on the stage, even though I told myself, let's just finish this entire round, let's just be
Yeah.
strong, let's not think about like placement, let's just enjoy this moment and let's not faint on the stage. That was my biggest goal. Let's not barf on the stage and let's not faint on the stage, because that would be, I feel like that takes away a lot of the credit that all the production people, every effort that was put into production, I feel that kind of my moment would ruin their moment.
Yeah.
So that's what I was most worried about. But throughout the competition, I just wanted that chance to speak. I wasn't waiting. I was like, just let me speak. Just let me get into.
Give me the microphone.
Just let me do the hashtag round so I can at least tell people I'm a person like this. I'm not just any Korean. This is Mina Sue Choi.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm glad that I got the moment to speak. And after I spoke, that's when I started gaining like more confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wait, I think I'm actually doing quite well. Yeah. And then I didn't know this, but my father and my parents actually told me that they didn't actually call my country name, but I stepped forward first.
Oh.
I saw the video and it's so embarrassing. But they said, "Oh, is it for when they were announcing the top 4? They were saying, is it Korea?" But I thought they said Korea,
Korea, just went for
because
it.
when he was saying Korea, all the crowd was
The
chanting.
crowd, yes.
So I thought they just named Korea.
Yes.
So I stepped forward, and thankfully he, the MC, he immediately said, "Yes, it is." Yeah. So that was very embarrassing, but I don't think anyone caught that.
Well, I think that to be honest, we were all kind of expecting it because I remember being in the audience during the coronation night, and the amount of support that you had was just insane. And as you said, like pageants are not necessarily big in Korea, so for me, what that meant is that there was people from all over the world like rooting for you, not just Koreans,
Yeah.
right? So I think that you got that spot rightfully so, and your
Yeah.
crown as well.
Thank you.
Now, of course, I think that the coronation night, one of the things that I wanted to give you props for is actually you were not feeling like super well that night. I think that you were like a little bit sick and you
Yes,
pushed through it so much.
I did.
I remember right after the coronation night, I didn't get a photo with you and I didn't get a photo with Miss Colombia because when I saw you, you were like surrounded by so many people, and like I just knew that you were sick and that you needed to go. So I was like, I'm not gonna add, more time on that. And then I also saw Miss Colombia, but she was eating, and
Yeah.
I'm very conscious of those things. I'm like,
Oh, you should have just came up to grab me.
no,
Mina, I need a photo with
no.
you. You should have done that.
So
I would have happily, I would have been like, of course.
oh no,
Yeah.
people were messaging me like, why do you hate Korea? I was like, guys.
Guys, that's a misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So, when you think of everything that went down, I mean, during the coronation night, of course, going back to the hotel, and the next day you wake up and you're officially Miss Earth. What was the first thing that you did?
The first thing I did, wait, I'm gonna have to recall what did I
Yeah.
do in the morning. I was busy packing, and the first thing I did was, I think I just ate. Like, I had a very normal day.
Mhm.
I honestly had a very normal day. I thought I was gonna get Jollibee, and I heard that the fans were going to get me Jollibee, but
Yes.
my dad apparently messaged him and said, Mina shouldn't probably have Jollibee because she's feeling sick. She shouldn't eat anything.
Not
She's
the
gonna throw
greatest
up.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but I did end up having that the day after though.
Mhm.
The managers from Carousel, they ordered me Jollibee, so they just had it all prepared with the
Oh.
spaghetti and the pancakes and the chicken. So I was
Amazing.
very happy.
That was actually my next question. Did you end up having Jollibee? Because otherwise we need to run to Jollibee right now.
It was good. I think I had it multiple times during,
Yeah.
like, right after the coronation night. I was staying here for a bit, for like 4 days, and
Yeah.
I think I almost had it almost every day,
Wow.
3 days. I kept on posting photos.
I mean, as
Even
you
on the
should.
last day, I had Jollibee. But a lot of fans, they were recommending me. It's another mang inasal, manginasal,
Manginasal?
manginasal.
What
Yeah.
is that? Ah.
Unlimited rice.
Wow.
Unlimited rice, yeah. A lot of people were recommending me that place, and my dad was even recommending
Yeah.
me that restaurant. So I actually had it yesterday as soon as I got here. And it
Wow.
was so good. Yeah. It's actually really, really good.
I should go.
The chicken is actually really good. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm not a huge fan on fried chicken, even
Yeah.
though it's good
Yeah.
because of my diet.
Yeah.
But it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should.
I'm on a
100%.
diet. I'm on a diet, and I think I'm gonna break my diet after
Ah,
this.
it's grilled chicken, so I'm sure it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's good.
Well, she did get the Filipino experience, guys, so
Yeah.
it's all good. I want to take you back now to the moments where you were actually competing at Miss Earth.
Yes.
When you think of those days, so much traveling, so many activities, what are the first things that come to mind?
A lot of bikinis. Just because in Korean pageants we were not allowed to wear bikinis.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was unfortunate. I always wanted to wear a bikini
Yeah.
and just show off my walk in front of
Yeah.
everyone. So that was on my bucket list, but thankfully I got to do a lot of those during Miss Earth. But I was also kind of on the watch out for my like physique because we had to constantly wear a bikini, but sometimes my stomach was feeling a bit, bloated. So I was occasionally concerned about that. But I do recall sharing that experience with one of the other delegates.
Yes.
And then I was like, I'm kind of insecure about my stomach. It's looking kind of flabby today. She was like, yeah, it's fine. You're looking beautiful, and it's the energy you carry on stage. It's not about how you look, really.
Yes.
People will feel your radiating energy if you put it in. If you're looking like you're having fun, and if it seems like you put in effort,
Yeah.
then people are going to enjoy it as much as you are. So you have to enjoy it for them to enjoy your walk. So I was like, that's actually
Absolutely.
that meant a lot.
Yes.
So I remember gaining confidence, and I was like, yeah, this is what a bikini walk, this is what a swimwear competition should look like. It's about embracing your body.
Your
So that was a pretty good learning experience for me and a realization for me. I was like, oh, there's more to this.
Of course. And I can tell you 100% that's true. At least personally, when I make videos, because people like me, like pageant analysts and whatever, we create this content where we like pick our favorites and stuff. And it's not necessarily about the body and the physical condition, but it's just how you portray yourself out there. And are you confident? Do you exude that energy that
Yes.
attracts people? And it's not just about your silhouette or if you're the fittest person in the room, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a really, really good advice.
Yeah, it was actually Miss Earth England that told me that,
Oh.
so thank you.
Thank you, girly. When you think of the sisters and the girls that you got to meet during the experience, were you able to bond with some of them?
I actually bonded with a lot of them
Wow.
from everyone from my air group. I definitely got close to a lot of them from Venezuela, Oriana, and Paulina, Puerto
Yes.
Rico, and Sofia from Argentina. There's so many.
So many.
There's so many, yeah. And Zipo from South Africa, Joyce from Zambia. I befriended all of them. I got so close to them. And even during our rehearsals for our coronation night, that's when I started bonding with other groups as well.
Yeah.
And they were very, very kind and very sweet. So this is like a pretty emotional like memory for me, but on the coronation night, after I was crowned, I wasn't feeling that emotional just because I was so surprised and the moment it's so surreal that usually I don't get that emotional. I don't tear up from big events like this.
Yes.
But what really made me tear up was when all the other girls came up to me and they were like, "We're so happy that you were crowned. You're very kind and you're nice and you're so cute and your hard work, your performance is great. So we're happy that you were crowned." And after that, girls that couldn't talk to me on the spot because it was so crowded, they all messaged me personally saying, "We're so happy for you. We think you're gonna make a difference." Yeah. And it's very hard to be in the same competition, be a competitor. We're competing against each other and still be
Correct.
supporting each other. That was so sweet. So I remember when the representative from Panama came up to me, she was crying. I was like, "No, I'm gonna cry too." And that's when I felt really emotional. Yeah, and I was very happy with not only my performance throughout the entire Miss Earth, but I was happy about the mindset and the way I was talking, and the way I was handling, you know, situations with people and my friendship with people. And I think that's why they were happy for me and they appreciated that I won. So I'm very happy and grateful.
Yes, of course. That must be such a beautiful feeling to have. I mean, as you said, like the girls that you're competing against, but also you become friends. I mean, like you spend like so many weeks together, visited so many different places, you create meaningful memories with these people. And to see that they're happy for you, even though they wanted it just as bad as you. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing. Well, I'm so happy your experience was so
I'm gonna
good.
get emotional talking about this. And I think almost every interview I do try to mention this. Yeah. Because it's a competition. You should have that mindset. Yeah, I have to perform well, but at the same time, when you're not performing at those at those hours, being like nice to another and just befriending people, getting to know them, getting to know their culture, I think that's also very important and a unique experience only like an international competition can give you. So I feel like to other pageants lovers and people that will compete in international pageants in the future to 2023 Miss Earth, I think they should have that mindset as well.
Yes, I agree. Right after the coronation night, right? You're officially now Miss Earth. Did you get any advice from some of the previous title holders? Because there were quite a few there during the coronation, but also did you talk to any of them?
Yes,
before?
they were so kind enough to message me first, and they were like, "Hey, girl, like first of all, congratulations," and saying if you need any guidance or if you need any advice, please message me throughout your reign. I was very happy about that. Yeah, they were very kind, like Karen, and then Pongkan and Destiny. They all messaged me saying congratulations. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, girls. When you think of the pageant and all the activities, what was the most challenging part for you? Because sometimes people think, going to a pageant is just being beautiful and like being in the bikini and the evening gown, but there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes.
There's so many. I think my working out was definitely hard. Dieting was hard, but I feel like it's like a must. So the most challenging during the preparation time or during Miss Earth?
I would say either one, like before or after
I think rehearsals.
rehearsals.
Everyone was, you should have been there during the rehearsals we had before the coronation. The three rehearsals we had, it was the most challenging time, not just for me, but for everyone, because we've been doing all these like small competitions and we've been traveling everywhere, not getting enough sleep. And I was energized. I was full on energy. I had full energy throughout the entire process, but right during rehearsals, that's when it started to kick in. I started having no energy. I felt lethargic. I just saw myself taking a nap, and I never take naps.
Yeah.
I never take naps, and I was just falling asleep, and I couldn't even eat properly. I felt like I was losing weight, which I guess is a good thing right before the competition. But the other girls were starting to get sick. A lot of girls were also sick during the rehearsals, and I think that was the most challenging part that we had to all push through. And learning the new choreo was also very challenging. So I remember we had an opening group for the opening ceremony, and I was part of it, and it was so overwhelming for me because I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I was all these girls are professional dancers, they were very good, but I'm the only one that's just a person. So I felt overwhelmed, and I felt like other people deserved the spot. So it was kind of overwhelming for me at that very moment that I had to do well. But I kept on messing things up during rehearsal. So I went behind the scenes, and I remember while everyone was having their dinner, I just went behind and I was like crying in front of the manager saying, I can't memorize the choreo. But thankfully and sadly, during the day of the coronation night, they actually told me I should probably rest for the opening group. And I was like, thank you. Because I felt like I was going to faint if I did the little dance move. Yeah.
It was very challenging, and I 100% understand because I am the worst person for dancing or learning choreography. I can't even do TikToks. So imagine. I can only imagine the pressure of having to do it like in front of everyone in an event that is being recorded and that will be seen across the world. So
Yes. And even during rehearsals, I felt like I was feeling insecure. I was like, oh, what if what if other girls think I'm just getting the spot because I'm Korean? Yeah.
No.
So a lot of things go into your mind
Of course.
because, it's right before the coronation night. So things were just like, thoughts were just all bothering me. But now that I think about it, it was just, they were just thoughts. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of your preparation as well for the pageant, right? So there are so many things that go into it. We talk about Q&A, we talk about the walk, we talk about your wardrobe. So what was that process like for you?
For me, so I didn't actually have enough preparation time because I was just notified by Miss Korea that will be competing in an international pageant. So I was like, oh, right now, can I compete next year? I want to be more prepared and ready for it. But they were like, no, next year we're going to send another delegate, so you have to compete. So I was like, okay. It was just 2 months or 3 months before. So they told me around, when did they tell me? September, I think. September is around the time they told me. And it was just not enough time to even film the videos because we had to also submit a lot of videos, right, for the prelims. And that was also, I had to organize a lot of things on my own. That was the hardest part. Like for my fauna video, originally they were telling me I should wear a mermaid costume, but I wasn't gonna wear a mermaid costume. First of all, dolphins don't have scales, so that wouldn't make any sense. But it would also be it would look funny for me to wear like an actual dolphin costume as well. But thankfully, I kind of played around the line because on the instructions, it said be creative.
Be creative.
So I was like, okay, I'm not going to put that much effort into the costume. I'm going to put more effort on the performance and on the message. I think that's why I did my fauna video, like the underwater. I was trying to show the pain of dolphins or other aquatic mammals. So I think I did pretty well. I didn't think people would be talking so much about my fauna video because I thought they would just make fun of me for not having a legitimate costume. But I was receiving a lot of praises, so I was very happy about that because it was very tiring to shoot that video underwater, holding your breath.
I can only imagine. And I think that it made you stand out for all the right reasons because your video was so artistic. And I feel like everything that you did, especially prior to, like during the virtual time of the competition, everything that you did was very unique in a way because you were not going for the clear reference, but always around it in a way that seemed to be elevated. So
yes. Because I did want to, obviously, if I had the chance, if I had the resources, I did want to do it just like others, put in more effort into my costume, but I just didn't have those resources. But I think even with something that you don't have, you have to make the best out of it. And
Yeah.
I think I had creativity. So I think that's what worked for me. And in terms of Q&A, I also wanted to talk about Q&A because a lot of people ask me for my interviews, did you prepare for all of them? Because you sound very authentic and genuine. You feel like you're just coming up on the spot. And it is actually true. What I did instead in preparation for Miss Earth was actually just staying educated.
Okay.
Because it's such an advocacy driven
Yeah.
competition. Not talk I wanted to talk about the things that I knew very well. So it mainly had to do with studying. I listened to podcasts during my fasted cardio, and I would listen to Climate Now and just listen to Spotify podcasts about climate change and issues like that. So that's how I stayed educated, and I just studied. And some of the things that I talked about on the stage, like empathy, that's
Yeah.
a core value that I have. And before doing anything, I always think it's important to have a value that's very important to you. So I always talk about this with my friends as well. So on the day of the coronation night, I just remembered, I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about this. What's something that can be a good message to other people, but something that's important to me? And it was being empathetic. So that's why I was like, I'm on the spot. I think this can relate to a lot of the issues in this world. So I just talked about it. It doesn't only show the person I am, but it also shows a solution to a big problem.
Yeah.
So-
And I think, like, I mean, looking at it from the outside, right? It made you feel like someone who was so just honest, so genuine when you were delivering your answers. Because sometimes, I mean, realistically, pageant girls prepare like a lot for Q&A to the point
Yes.
that sometimes it can come across as rehearsed.
Yes.
Right? And we always say as well that Miss Earth is one of the most difficult pageants because it's not just about the beauty and the physical preparation,
Yeah.
but also you need to be aware of the things that are happening around the world.
Yes.
You need to be able to have a conversation around those things. So it's also like an intellectual competition.
Yes.
So
I think that's why it's a pageant that I like.
Yeah.
That's why it's also a relevant pageant. And I really like Miss Earth a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
of course, well, here you are now. It's
Yes,
already Miss
I
Earth.
know. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about another preparation experience. Walking, yes, walking was the biggest challenge, one of the biggest challenge for me because we don't have catwalk coaches in Korea.
Yeah.
We don't have like the international pageant coaches in Korea. So that's why I had to keep filming videos and send it to fans, and they would tell me, Mina, look at this video and practice this walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of that was challenging because I didn't want to, because at the end of the day, I had to copy, I had to imitate one another, the videos I saw, the walks that other people did. But I felt like would it look okay? That was my biggest worry.
Yeah.
Then who should I consult with? So instead, I went to my dance teacher.
Oh,
I had
clever.
a dance teacher, and I feel she understands movements very well. So I just asked her, how can I walk like this? So she helped me throughout the process a lot.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I mean I feel like especially such factor countries they are so used to having the trainers and everyone
Yes.
like professionals for every single aspect of the competition. But sometimes if you come from a country where pageantry is not a thing, you have to think outside of the box, right?
Yes, and actually, she was really good at catwalks because I forgot the name of the dance, but there's a type of dance where you wear heels, like very high heels,
Yeah.
thin ones, not even thick ones, like thin ones, and you're dancing. So I think she's amazing. She can dance in heels. I can't even dance in heels, so she was guiding me throughout the process pretty well, and I was like, wow, this is a pretty smart idea.
Yeah.
So I was advising other girls too, yeah, if you want to do better in your catwalk, you should consult one of the dance teachers as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like catwalks similar to a dance move as well. The way you
Yes.
sway, the way you have to rhythm, the way you perform with your facial expressions, and a lot of that is a dance move. So I think that's why I consulted with a dance teacher.
Good idea. At the end of the day, it's all a performance, so
Yeah.
it comes together. You're also, so you have a major in communications, correct? And you also lived in different countries, not just
Yeah.
because you were born in Australia,
Yes.
then moved to Korea, and then you lived in,
And then I moved to Canada,
Canada.
Vancouver, and I lived there for a year. And then I moved to the States, to Minnesota.
okay,
I lived there with my relatives for 2 years, and then I moved back to Korea, attended international school, and
Yes.
then in the middle, I moved to China and went to an international school there for a year, and then came back to Korea, went to international school again, graduated, and then went to university in the States.
That's so
Yeah.
impressive. Do you think that, I mean, the fact that you have not only the fact that you went through school, that you have your major now, right? But also that you have this experience in different countries that gave you a different perspective about the world. Do you think that helped you during your journey at Miss Earth?
Yes, most definitely. Because I sorry to bring up like empathy again,
Yeah.
because that idea of empathy even came up to me because I have that global experience, because I encountered so many misunderstandings and people that I'm unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
That's why when we don't know each other, when we're not familiar with each other, that's when, you know, stereotypes happen and we tend to have misunderstandings and miscommunications.
Yeah.
But when we try to understand that, oh, we've been raised and we have different life experiences, then you can take a step back and it helps you understand them a little bit better. And
Yes.
you can be a little bit more, I feel like that helps the conversations, even misunderstandings. It's like, oh, I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I feel like that's where it really came from. So it helped me in the long run. It helped me build my character as a person. So it has been helpful even till this day. And I think it will help me in the long run as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think it's gonna be great. Do you think that, what would you say is the essence of being a Miss Earth? I think like everyone has a different definition for that, but when you think of you as of right now with this title, this platform, what do you think is your duty when it comes to, you know, the people who look up to you?
I feel like the most obvious is Miss Earth's advocacy, environmental issues, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of social issues are so intrinsically related to each other that I don't think we only need to focus on one thing.
Right.
I think I can also discuss human rights issues while relating it to, you know, environmental crisis in this world, women's right. So I feel like it's not only one message, but we can focus on more issues. And I feel like that can happen. You know, recently I was calling Miss International Jasmine, and
Yes.
we've gotten the chance to speak a little bit. And then we talked about, you know, pageants are all about advocacy. It's not just about a pretty face, but it's about raising awareness about a specific social issue. Like every pageant, every big pageant, they have a social issue or a social message they're trying to convey to the group. And if we can collaborate together and discuss all those issues together, I think we can convey a bigger message as an
Yes.
entire pageant community, not just a specific pageant, but as a pageant community.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And we were actually just talking about it before we started filming that I feel like sometimes there's this rivalry between certain pageants, and when in reality, if the core of it is female empowerment and to uplift women and to give them a platform, there shouldn't be that. I mean, I understand that they
Yes,
have
yeah.
their specific lanes, you know, but it doesn't mean that the lines cannot be blurred sometimes.
Yeah,
So I love
definitely.
your interaction with Jasmine.
Yeah.
And I felt like, oh my God, I got to see Mina being crowned, and then I saw Jasmine being crowned, and
It's
then they're
amazing.
together.
And
So
because I've gotten a lot of messages like from fans, like, what do you think about, you know, other pageants like following the Miss Earth, you know, the environmental,
Yeah.
you know, issues like that?
Yeah.
I was like, I think that's good. I think environmental issue is something that we need to talk about right now. It's also pretty, you know, right now is a transitional period where a lot of things are going more green, and I feel like Miss Earth is a great platform. And if we can be more inclusive, I think that's important.
Yes.
That's also very important that pageants, as pageant queens, we're not excluding each other, but we're being inclusive. So
Inclusive.
when other pageants are saying, "Oh yeah, we're suddenly making their sashes eco-friendly,"
Yes.
I think that's good. That's a good influence, and if people are following the footsteps of what Miss Earth is rooting for or pushing for, then that I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think more pageants should be like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So everyone, when they're competing at Miss Earth, they are hoping to hopefully obtain the crown and have access to the platform to spread their messages. Can you tell us a little bit more about your advocacy, especially, I mean, we heard a lot about it during the pageant, but now that you have this platform, how do you plan to continue spreading awareness about it?
So my original advocacy that I was stating so many times during Miss Earth was mitigating carbon footprints
Yeah.
in urbanized areas through sustainable mobility
Yes.
and promoting lifestyles that will help us become more eco-friendly.
Yeah.
And I feel like after my experience, after my journey during Miss Earth, I learned so much from other girls, from their advocacy, that I realized, wait, it's not only my advocacy that matters, but other people's advocacy.
As well.
That when we combine it all together, we're communicating the same issue. We're all fighting for social injustice, social issues. And one thing I really learned from my roommate, Iran, Miss Earth Iran from Maruru, in her advocacy, she talked about women's right. And I had this sudden realization. I think it's because I've lived in such big areas in countries such as like the States,
Yeah.
Canada. They're all very like wealthy countries like Korea.
Yeah.
So I just, even though I knew the situation in other countries like Iran, I knew the issues of women's rights, but at the same time, it never really hit me.
Yeah.
But after I conversed with her, after I'd gotten closer to her, after she told me the stories behind, I realized, how can we prioritize about the environment when we don't have basic human rights? So that was also like a large hit, just a slam on the
Yeah.
head. I was like, I've been so naive. So I think throughout my Miss Earth journey, I don't only want to advocate for my own advocacy. I also want to join with other girls and speak to other people, learn more, study more, and maybe redefine my advocacy so that it can be more inclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant point that you just made right there, and it's something that I have heard before when I talk to other Miss girls, Miss Earth girls from previous years, is that they always mention about this fact that we know that the environment is a priority, but sometimes it takes people need to have like a certain base, because sometimes it can be quite like a privilege, for example.
Yeah.
To be sustainable, sometimes things are a little bit more expensive.
Exactly.
And so I think that it's a very good realization that you have, and also that it's something super important that can benefit from a platform such as Miss Earth, right?
Yeah.
The fact that there's still women up until this date that don't have basic rights all over the world, and when we come from countries that we kind of take it for granted, we might not see it as obvious, but
Yes.
it's still there. It's a reality.
Yeah. And I feel like that was me. So I was a little bit embarrassed of constantly restating my advocacy. I was like, oh, maybe I should change my advocacy throughout, because after hearing other people's advocacy, I was like, maybe mine's a little bit behind.
Yeah.
But I think having that realization is more important.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And to be fair, I don't feel like you were behind. It's just, pageants is also about the evolution, about the journey,
Yes.
of growing and learning, right? So
Yeah.
that's just something that you learn in that particular time, and now you will take with you for the
Yeah.
rest of your reigns.
Yes.
Growing right there, everyone.
Still growing. Have a lot more growing to do,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Talking about growing, I feel like one of the most mature things to realize, especially being a title holder, is that it comes with a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Sometimes it comes with a lot of bashing as well. So how do you take care of yourself mentally, physically, to make sure that you are at your best, at least the best that you can during your reign?
In terms of bashers, they haven't bothered me that
Okay.
much, but I just picture in my head the people that write hurtful things.
Yeah.
Like, just picture what position they're in. I picture them just lying on their couch like this and eating chips and saying, "Hey, this girl's ugly," and just
Right.
imagining that, picturing that in my head makes me realize bashers. I don't think they're that significant in my life. Yeah. And also, at the same time, I feel like when people are radiating hatred and just mean energy, just negative energy, I feel like it stems from the pain they have, from maybe their own insecurity. And even though you shouldn't, a lot of people tell me ignore bashers, ignore haters.
Yeah.
This might be like a little bit too much, but at the same time, I feel like maybe they just need a bit more love.
Yeah.
So, like, love your lovers, but sometimes, be generous and be kind to your haters, because that might impact them and make them change.
You're right.
And I'm hoping for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're better than me, because sometimes I get so triggered sometimes, but yeah, you're definitely right. Sometimes, we just need to put out into the universe what we expect that comes back to us.
Yes.
So that's a very clever
Yeah.
reflection. I wanted to ask you, so throughout this entire process of, interacting with other title holders, with other girls, and also learning from their advocacies, what has been the biggest lesson that you have taken away from, at least up until now, right? From your reign?
For my reign, you need to have more courage. Yeah. I I guess things don't magically happen sometimes,
Yeah.
especially even with the title of Miss Earth. I need to have the courage to reach out to other people, to collaborate or things like that. And with those things, I feel like it takes more courage, and I have to be more brave to believe in myself a bit more of my confidence. Because honestly, I think I have imposter syndrome where I did get crowned as Miss Earth, but
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, am I really good enough? Maybe other girls like deserved it more. So sometimes I tell myself, because my preparation time wasn't that long. It was only for a few months, and I felt like other girls just, what if they put in more effort than I did? What if I'm not good enough? So sometimes those thoughts scare me, and I think sometimes I don't have enough courage to be like, hey, I want to try this project out. Sometimes I tell myself I'm not good enough, but at the same time, I have to constantly tell myself to have more, to be brave. And if they think you're not good enough, you have to check if you have to ask first,
Yeah.
like let's do this. And if they say no, then we'll figure it out. But first, just do it.
Yeah.
I think that's why. I think during my reign, having more courage and being more brave and proud of the fact that I became Miss Earth for a reason is
Yeah.
an important message to tell myself constantly.
Yes, of course. They saw something in you, and that's why they wanted
I
you.
hope so. But because I just know that I'm not a very traditional pageant queen, I think that's why I sometimes doubt myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, I have never met a single title holder from any pageant that believes that, I was the one that they all go through the same, the same thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's a normal thing, but keep that in mind. At the end of the day, they gave it to you because they saw something special in you. Maybe it was the fact that you were not the prototype,
Yeah.
that you had something unique and so different that it was just so refreshing, right? So keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Of course. So, what is your message for the people out there, let's say, who are supportive of the Miss Earth organization, supportive of you, and that also want to be part of the solution in this, environmental issues, especially the ones that you're talking about?
Yes, I think definitely staying educated and staying always on top of the news and really talking about it, discussing it with people. And if it's even if it's a small achievement, such as during my Miss Earth process, not even during Miss Earth, but before that, I always bike around places.
Yeah.
But I know I sometimes got bashed on. They were like, "Oh, all she does is bike around. Like that's her eco activity." A lot of my friends and a lot of the people started biking in Korea because they saw that, wait, it's kind of cool
Yeah.
to bike around the city.
So cool.
It's actually very beautiful.
Yeah.
But I think even if it's a small achievement, a small input you're doing to the environment, I think sharing that on social media is a great thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, there would be bashers saying, "Oh, she's just doing it," or someone's doing it just for the clout, for
Yeah.
the look. But I think exposing people that what you're doing is eco-friendly, that's more important. More than like speaking in front of a large community, I feel like it's more important because we're such a social media based society.
Yeah.
I feel like everything we consume, everything that kind of inputs in our head, it's from what we see on the screen. So I feel like if you can do that, if you can use your platform in order to just showcase that it's good to be eco-friendly, it's kind of cool to be one.
Yes.
Then I think do that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's also a message I need to tell myself. Yeah. Have more courage and tell people that being eco-friendly is cool.
It's really cool,
Yeah.
guys. Okay. No, you're right. I think it's all about leading by example.
Yes.
And, sometimes we also, as pageant fans, we also put so much pressure in our title holders in the sense that we expect them to change the world.
Yes.
But it's impossible. But in reality, it's all about just leading by example.
Yes.
Just be the change that you want to see in the world, in a way.
Also, I think influencing the people next to you, not just, it doesn't have to be, I feel like influence isn't about just a large community of people, but it's influencing the person next to you,
Yeah.
influence the people nearby, influence your family, and it starts from there. And I feel like the reason I was proud of myself during Miss Earth is because I was kind to one another during my competition,
Yeah.
and they were kind to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I had a pretty positive influence on other people, and I think it really starts from there. It stems from there.
Yeah, that's the beginning of it all.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, I wanted to ask you, I mean, I actually requested if you could bring your sash and crown so that we could
Yes.
show it to the viewers. I got so many requests from people who wanted to have a closer look, especially to the crown. So let's go with the sash first.
Sash, this is
Yeah.
my
And you mentioned earlier that this is eco-friendly.
yes.
And something that I noticed about the Miss Earth organization is not just the sash, but there's also a bunch of elements. Even during the pageant,
Yes.
they have like a little stand during the event that was also completely recycled.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I found out later.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I forgot to actually mention, we are filming right now at the Carousel Mansion here in the Philippines, and this is also a sustainable, eco-friendly establishment. So I love that the organization doesn't just, talk the talk, but
Yeah.
even themselves, they walk the walk.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of mosquitoes though.
I'll
I've
get you
already
some
I've gotten a lot of bites already.
Same.
Yeah. A lot of dogs around here too.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, they're super cute, but sometimes they bark in the middle of the night. Other than that, it's all good.
It's all good. Can we take a look at the
Oh
crown?
yes, of course.
Oh my God, this is so beautiful. This is a replica, correct?
No,
You-
no, this is the actual crown.
This is the actual crown?
This is the actual crown.
Oh my God, you guys, I'm next to the Miss Earth crown.
Yeah, I feel
Wow.
even like, do you want to touch it? You can touch
Can
it.
I? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay, I don't want to drop it or anything.
When I
Guys, I am holding the Miss Earth. Wait, I don't want to hide the gems. I am holding the Miss Earth crown. Please, I can happily die now. Just kidding. This is so beautiful.
it's so big.
It's so big.
I
and-
know. I think so. The replica is actually much bigger than this.
Oh yeah.
Yes, so it goes right through my head. So it's a necklace,
Oh
not a crown.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, and you get to travel around with it
I'm
sometimes.
gonna have to ask them.
Hmm.
I hope they let me take the real crown. I don't think so, but we'll see. It's very. I'm like worried about taking care of it as
Yeah,
well. so-
Yes, of course. Well, thank you so much for sharing the crown and the sash with us. We love to see it. And just to go towards the end of the interview, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I wanted to ask you, pageants are sometimes a stepping stones for the
Yes.
girls, and it's not just about what you do with the rain, but also what you will do afterwards. Do you have any plans for after the rain and what is yet to come?
As soon as I was crowned as Miss Earth, I also felt this, and I always feel this way about like achieving something. When I do achieve something, I feel like this is only the beginning.
Yeah.
And my crowning moment, ever since the crowning moment, I feel like it's only the beginning. And although I am a title holder, I think I could have more influence on people. And my goal and what I want to become is I want to become an actress actually.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. And in that way, I hope not, even after my reign, as an actress in the future, I want to be that one actress that is constantly discussing issues on environmental issues and constantly using that power that I have on other people to promote my advocacy and discuss social issues as well. I want to become an actress like that. Someone who has influence should be like that. If you have the power to change other people and influence other people behave a certain way, then using that in a good way is so important. And I feel like more influencers and more people with followers on Instagram should be doing that.
Yeah.
You have so much power these days, like with social media, and if you are someone like that you have so many followers, and I feel like why not use that to good?
Yes,
And I want to
absolutely.
be someone like that. And this is only the beginning. This is the only beginning for me.
That's for sure. And the cool thing about it is that now that you have this supportive, pageant family, they will support you in whatever projects you have in the future. So
Yeah.
that's so
I
cool.
hope so
So
too.
happy for you. What is your message for the people out there who, once again, love the pageant, they love you as well? How can they support you during your reign, the upcoming year? And do you have any upcoming projects as our...
I do, but I'm not allowed to say.
Oh, it's a
yet.
secret. Okay, it's okay. I'm never gonna...
You can cut,
Uh-oh.
cut this. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it. But sorry, just for your ears. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm so excited for you. And of course, as I say, we'll be supporting. I know the future is bright and the best is yet to come.
Yeah, I
So,
hope so too.
just before I let you go, Mina, what do you want to say to the viewers? What is your final message for them?
Yes. I think this is what I always tell my fans, and every time I end an interview, I always say this, but be kind to others, be loving to others, but most importantly, be kind to yourself, because love stems from within, and to love other people, to share that kindness to other people, you got to be kind to yourself and love yourself more. So remember,
Remember that, guys.
기억해.
You know, this is officially the first time that I got to talk to you one-on-one. So I will
Yeah.
tell you that coming here, of course, we always have, preconceived notions and who she's gonna be, how she's gonna be. But I had such a great time
Well,
here with you.
what was your preconceived notion about me? You have to tell me. What was your expectation?
No, honestly, I thought that you were gonna be like a very like structured person, like very put together, like in the way that you present yourself and all.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
because honestly, you have like this very professional vibe. But honestly, like just talking to you, even before we started recording, like you're so chill, like so cool and just like laid back.
Really, my friends think I'm not cool. They think I'm lame.
You are really cool. I say so, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, and as I told you earlier, I'm an introvert. Like people think that sometimes I'm very like energetic and stuff, but I'm quite the opposite. So I just really, I really like your vibe. So yes. In
Like
Cuba, I'm originally from Cuba. When we really like someone, we give them a hug at the end of the interview. So it's been such a pleasure to be
thanks for
here.
having
Thank you
back.
for welcoming us,
Thank
and
you.
we'll be supporting you, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you soon with more content and a lot more things. So, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.